Yesterday, two big things happened in the world of electricity tariffs and battery storage. First, Tesla announced that their Powerwall 3 would become available in the UK already this summer. This was quite a surprise for many of us, as we had expected it to come to the UK only in autumn. Second then, as if this were not enough, Octopus and Tesla also announced that they had partnered up and that Powerwall 3 would become eligible for the Intelligent Flux tariff. So what does all this mean for us? I'm Clemens from Retrofitted, and the purpose of this video is to explore exactly this question. We will do this in three parts. First, we will have a look at the specs and features of Powerwall 3. Second, we are going to illustrate what the Octopus Tesla offer looks like. And then third, we will dive into the numbers. So we will have a look at the business case of the Powerwall Octopus offer compared to other alternatives currently available on the market. Let's get going. Now let's dive into the specs and features of Powerwall 3. Let's start out with capacity. Powerwall 3 comes in units of 13.5 kilowatt hours. This means the smallest that you can get is a battery with a capacity of 13.5 kilowatt hours. This is pretty large, especially for the UK. So we will show later even too large for many UK homes which need a lot less electricity than American homes. However, if you really like batteries and you want an even bigger battery, you can actually bundle up to 3 units under one inverter, creating a battery of up to 40.5 kilowatt hours. So these are pretty big numbers. Next, let's turn to chemistry. So what is the battery really made of? And there has been a pretty significant change between Powerwall 2 and Powerwall 3. Powerwall 2 basically still deployed the same technology that you find in Tesla's cars, which is so-called NMC technology. However, NMC is not actually the best chemistry for the home battery use case. The better technology for the home battery use case is LFP technology, which allows for more charge cycles, is safer, and actually more sustainable. Now, with Powerwall 3, it has been reported that Tesla actually changed to LFP technology. Note, however, that Tesla has never ever officially confirmed that, and if you will have a look at the technical specifications of Powerwall 3, you will also find no mention of battery chemistry. Let's assume, however, that Powerwall 3 is LFP chemistry. Next, let's turn to the inverter, the heart of the battery, as many of you would call it. And there are some pretty impressive numbers attached to the Powerwall 3 inverter. It is capable of discharging at 11 kilowatts and charging at 5 kilowatts. In addition, it's also pretty efficient. It has an efficiency of solar to home or grid of 97.5% and of solar to battery to home or grid of 89%. Both numbers are pretty state-of-the-art and pretty impressive. And in addition, as if this were not enough, the inverter also comes with 3 separate solar inputs, which can be quite useful. For instance, if your roof has a complex form with like different orientations, or if parts of your roof are heavily shaded. Lastly, Powerwall 3 comes with a backup gateway. Currently, this backup gateway is mandatory and you have to pay extra for it. But basically what it is, it's just a small box in addition to your battery that allows you to cut your home off the grid and be fully self-reliant just based on the battery. So in case there is a power cut, this is the kind of device that you're gonna need to be fully self-sufficient. So how does this compare to other state-of-the-art batteries that are already available on the UK market today? Let's take for a comparison the InstaGen battery, which we as Retrofitted have been offering in partnership with a leading UK installer. This is just a battery that we know really well. On most dimensions, as you can see here on the chart, is that both batteries are actually quite similar. But there are two key differences to highlight. First, the InstaGen battery follows a pretty different philosophy when it comes to size. So while the Tesla battery comes in really large 13.5 kilowatt hour chunks, the InstaGen battery comes in 5 kilowatt hour chunks, right? Which are then kind of stackable on top of each other, similar to Lego bricks. And this is a concept that has been developed specifically for the UK market, where, as I mentioned previously, electricity consumption is usually a lot lower than in the US. However, in the end, it will depend on your individual circumstances or how large your individual consumption is to see which system or which size, for that matter, is most suitable for you. The second difference is that the InstaGen battery does not offer a backup gateway, while the Powerwall does. This is another feature that is a result of the Powerwall having been designed originally from the US market, where power outages are a lot more common than in the UK. If they're going to become much more common in the future is somewhat uncertain, and therefore it is for you individually to decide whether this is an important feature for you or not. To sum up, both are state-of-the-art batteries. Which is the right solution individually for you in the end depends on just how much electricity you consume as a household and which beliefs you hold about the future and especially power outages in the UK. So now let's turn to part 2, the collaboration between Octopus and Tesla, which coincided on the same day with the Powerwall 3 release. Octopus made two big announcements yesterday. First, that they would become an installer of Powerwall batteries. But then second, also that Powerwalls would become eligible for their so-called virtual power plant via their Intelligent Flux tariff. So these are a lot of buzzwords, so let's spend some time explaining what this is all about. So basically what Octopus does is that it aggregates its customers' assets, their heat pumps, solar panels, batteries, EV chargers, into a so-called virtual power plant. And with this virtual power plant, it can, against other like real power plants on the market, like gas peaker plants and others, participate in all different types of markets, including flexibility markets, which are there to keep supply and demand in balance in the UK electricity grid. Grid providers then reward Octopus for providing that service, and Octopus therefore created a tariff, Intelligent Octopus Flux as they call it, to pass on at least parts of the benefits to participating customers. Until today, only GIV energy batteries have been eligible to participate in the Octopus VPP or to sign up for the Intelligent Flux tariff. As it was announced, now Tesla Powerwalls are also going to be able to become part of it. So what makes Intelligent Flux so special? Let's compare Intelligent Flux to just Flux, or as some might call it, the unintelligent Flux. Anyone with solar and batteries can sign up for Flux. As you can see on the chart, Flux has 3 periods and different export and import tariffs, so in total 6 different prices. With Flux you can basically import at 15p in off-peak hours between 2 and 5 am and then around 26p during the day, except of course at peak hours between 4 and 7 p.m. where it is 36p. Export rates range between 6p and 26p. So that means if you consider the whole day, the lowest import rate you can get is lower than the highest export rate that you can get. So this already makes Flux a pretty good tariff for any battery owner. Intelligent Flux works a bit differently. There are 2 key differences. First of all, in Intelligent Flux, import rates and export rates are equal, which is pretty unique in the world of electricity tariffs. And then second, only two different periods exist. There is a peak period between 4 p.m. and 7 p.m. at 31p, and another off-peak period for the remaining day at 23p. Note that with Intelligent Flux, you will have to hand over control over your battery to Octopus. If you do not want to do that, however, you can still opt for just the unintelligent version of Flux, which in our view actually is also a pretty good electricity tariff. With these tariffs in mind, you will have wondered if a Tesla Powerwall 3 would be a good investment for your home. So let's move to part 3, the business case. What we will do is basically calculate the payback period for a Tesla Powerwall 3 with an Intelligent Flux tariff on the one hand, and the InstaGen battery we mentioned previously with the unintelligent Flux tariff on the other hand. To get started, we need to define some common assumptions. So we are gonna assume an average large household here in the UK consuming about 10 kilowatt hours per day. This might be above what you currently consume, but as previously mentioned, the Powerwall is actually geared towards a slightly larger household, and therefore we find it only fair to also define our business case accordingly. The typical household then has 6 kilowatts peak in solar capacity, but currently no battery installed. The household runs on a very standard economy 7 tariff for imports and gets around 10p per kilowatt hour for its exports. I know that this number is lower than the export tariffs that some of you might get, but in fact 10p is pretty much the standard here in the UK, and we are also assuming the exact same base case, so to speak, for both batteries. The next question you will wonder about is how much is a Powerwall 3? If you visit Tesla's website, you will see a price of £5,500 plus £800 for the backup gateway, so £6,300 in total. This wouldn't be too bad for a battery of this size. However, unfortunately, that number comes with a catch. It is excluding delivery, installation, or VAT. VAT is currently 0 for batteries, but delivery and installation can be pretty big cost items. This is also shown by the first installers who have now come out with all-inclusive offers for Powerwall 3. So for instance, there is one UK installer who was very quick yesterday to publish their first price, where the Powerwall cost £9,500. What we now did at Retrofitted is to model the PV production and then the battery charge and discharge of our household in 30-minute intervals throughout the year. We were assuming a typical UK household positioned in the south, so with a load factor of around 10%. Our model suggests that the Tesla Powerwall 3 with the Intelligent Flux tariff would yield a benefit of around £1,020 per year on top of what you're currently already generating with your feed-in tariff. At the price of £9,500, this yields a payback period of just over 9 years. Now you might have noticed that the installation in this offer that we showed before comes at a pretty hefty price tag of around £3,300. So to be fair here, let's consider a second case where installation is around £1,500, resulting in an overall price of £7,800. Note that Octopus have not announced their price yet, so it will be interesting where in the range Octopus will eventually position itself. Anyways, for this case, with a price of £7,800, the payback period shortens to roughly 8 years. Now, the next question, how does this compare to our InstaGen battery? The InstaGen battery does not come at 13.5 kilowatt hours. The next biggest version is 15 kilowatt hours. We currently offer such a battery, including inverter, delivery, installation and commissioning for £6,100. Our model says that such a battery, coupled with the Octopus Flux tariff, so the unintelligent version, would yield an annual benefit of still £950. So dividing 6,100 by 950 gives us a payback period of just 6.5 years. It is to note that a 10 kilowatt hour battery we currently offer for around £4,900, and the payback period would be about the same. But for comparison, let's keep the 13.5 kilowatt hour to the 15 kilowatt hour, where you will have seen that the Tesla Octopus offer takes a bit longer than the InstaGen battery to pay back. So what's the verdict? With Powerwall 3, Tesla has unveiled a pretty sleek and powerful product. However, it comes at a pretty hefty price tag and has been designed primarily with the US market in mind. In addition, we saw that other state-of-the-art batteries on the market, like our InstaGen battery, offer a pretty similar performance. The only major difference is really the sizing of the batteries and whether they offer a backup feature or not. If this feature is worth the cost and what is the right size of battery for you is a decision that you need to make individually. To make it easier for you to answer that question, we've created an online tool that will guide you through a number of questions and then within less than a minute present to you which would be your right solution. Just click on the link below to access our tool. Thanks a lot for watching.